Blackstone Publishing and Urban Audiobooks present Nympho by Andrea Blackstone. This book is read by Samantha Moon. Jumbled Thoughts. August 23rd, 2005. Diary entry number 1. Dear Diary, I just want to ask myself one question. How in the hell did I end up in a position like this? I just finished taking a trip to the post office box I was smart enough to invest in, so my fiancé wouldn't question why my cell phone bill had climbed to $400 in 1 month, and why 80% of the calls were from, well, our best man. Opening the thick packet of call records caused my mind to drift back to all of the pillow and kinky talk with that one man in particular. Looking at the amount of incoming calls from the same 3 numbers, his cell phone, his home phone, and the direct line from his desk at work, has resurrected the memory of my infidelity. At first, I thought that creepin' was cute. The attention I was getting was swelling my ego right. But since a whole lot of shit has been hitting the fan that I'll get into a little later, I decided to take a crucial step in attempting to break out of my darkness. Private admission. I'm the type who would sing "What a Friend We Have in Jesus" in one breath and tempt the choir director to see what's under my robe in the next. I know that's a pretty scandalous statement, but I'm just keeping it real. I'm the kind of woman who has closet freak cravings. If a leopard can change its spots, maybe there is hope for me to bury my alter ego, innocence. You know what they say, it's always the quiet ones. It sure is. Damn, it sure is. They say it's always the quiet ones or church girls who are the real closet freaks. Even if you're a believer, can you really change who you are? Let me be honest about something up front. I don't like that I appear to be a woman with little or no sexual experience and a low libido. It's all a front, and I'm tired of pretending that I'm something I'm not. To put it bluntly, I like sex. Correction, I love sex. I wished I could have felt good without cheating, but my needs took on a life of their own and I felt trapped, as if there was no other way. Men are always talking about what they want, but what about what women want? It's a terrible thing to be bored, in more ways than one, but not be interested in changing your current situation is even worse. It's a more common problem than most people are willing to admit, though. Those with testosterone think they're getting over on stupid people from Venus, and those with estrogen claim to possess superior intellect above those who hail from Mars. What it all comes down to is one big game we play behind each other's backs. Men cheat, but so do women, all because the average person is afraid to tell the truth regarding what they really desire. In fact, some women are worse than the average dog. I venture to guess that there are more cheataholics in this world than those who truly cherish a sacred bond. Marriage has become a business agreement, or a death sentence to those who can't be honest about what it takes to really make it work the way it should. Take half of the credit card bills that have been hanging over someone else's head for years, half of their life stressors, then take away sex, add a whole lot of morning halitosis, last-minute cheap gifts, walking the dog, changing dirty diapers, forgiving a husband for forgotten birthdays and anniversaries, tossing beer cans, and fussing over the need to wipe pee off the seat because men rarely raise it, and of course, nosy in-laws. And see if 10 years from now you'll appreciate that shit. Wake up and smell the Folgers. You won't. With that said, who can blame me for taking matters into my own hands by looking for someone else to ring my bell before I signed up to be Mrs. So-and-so? Men do it all of the time. They started it. Flip the script, and they have the nerve to get an attitude. Whatever. Why should women be ashamed to admit that we want to have the big O and someone to make our toes curl? I've learned about all these things through struggling to love the man in my life. Trey, I wanted everything with you. I swear I wasn't playing games when I accepted the engagement ring, at least not intentionally. You can't imagine what it's like to be a 30-something woman who wants to be married and have a family in an age where straight, available, commitment-minded, sane-acting black men who don't want to date white, Asian, or Spanish sisters are rumored to be an endangered species. I just couldn't stomach throwing myself back to the few wolves in the pack. Although, there were many issues I was dissatisfied with, including your lack of desire to get your wee-wee up enough. When you did bother to give me some affection, you'd watch TV while I was getting it. So what if you're fascinated by sharks? If you're making love to me, Flipper shouldn't come first. When you turned your head to look over your shoulder, that was the final clue that our sex life was finito, even before we got married. I say don't do it partially, do it all the way, all night long, or at least until my hair is sweated out. After all, I threw no marriage hints your way. I figured that if I turned it down, I may have been forfeiting my one and only shot to walk down the aisle before my biological clock stopped ticking. My heart longed to experience solidarity with a brother who was all fucking mine. No more man-sharing and no more dating disasters. I had the power to get off the train, and pulling into the station gave me joy. To me, the thought of all these things was a much-needed relief. I had a career, my own home, and a set routine that made sense. But my heart was thirsty, and I needed a tall glass of water. Never did I realize that I was assigning you to be my ticket out of being caught up in a stinking mix. In reality, being a savior in my hour of darkness wasn't your responsibility. I never should have submitted to the fantasy by settling for someone I knew wasn't my cup of tea. That's what you were, Trey. A fantasy that looked attractive. While you were appearing to become more conservative, I started taking my engagement ring off, wearing tight booty shorts, and flirting with men. Your golden lady was hitting her sexual peak, becoming more daring and adventurous, running the streets to get banged while getting my hair pulled until the early morning. You were the one who backed me up against the wall by not letting me be a freak with you and only you. I knew you wanted a conservative woman, so that's what I tried to be, to fit into your life. But I just couldn't keep up the act. After the first time I got comfortable fondling a strange dick and swallowing nut, I found out that I preferred being a freak who stayed on her hands and knees. Before I write some 3-page letter about someone else, I suppose I should address my individual issues with the person I've never really liked, me. I admit that the struggle is somehow related to baggage I drag around. I don't know who is to blame. My parents, my sister, the culture, pressure of trying to be successful, fate. Maybe if I vent on paper, living with myself will be a little bit easier. After all, I have to take it here because I'm tired of playing the role of what I appear to be. A quiet, mannerly, reserved, and high-browed conservative woman who rarely even smiles. I have the game of owning two opposite personalities down pat. In fact, few would ever guess what kind of woman was hidden behind the trips to church, neatly done tight bun, makeup-free face, skirts down to my knees, blouses that covered everything, including my collarbone, and school teacher-like glasses. I wasn't that conservative woman who volunteered for a nonprofit organization every third weekend in the summer. The real me was a nasty slut with little moral grounding. Although I was the one who rolled my eyes and gave a lingering cough of disgust if a provocatively dressed woman walked by, or if I heard anyone mention they had sex before marriage. This isn't simple, safe, or easy. This diary is the only one who will ever know the secrets of the real me. Secrets that, if they ever got out, would complicate an already messy situation. So even here, I'll leave out some locations and real names. I know who is who, and no one needs to use me to understand what's wrong with them while I absorb the brunt of judgment and public persecution. The golden question is, how do I shake off a severe case of nymphomania? I have no idea what the answer is, but the emancipation of me begins right here, right now. Fact: Leslie Thompson wasn't ready to be anyone's wife, but she was willing to pretend that she was ready to march down the aisle with a bouquet of flowers in her hand, so long as the dirt that she didn't come to light and bite her in the ass. The thing is, it did, in the craziest way. Fiction. I apologize for participating in an affair that never should have been. Fact. The bottom line is that it happened, and cheating like a heathen was the thrill of a lifetime. If I had it to do all over again, I probably would. Fiction. Help wanted, SOS, save my soul, 911, attention, red alert. I wish something would rise up within this empty vessel and resurrect the good girl that can make me keep my panties up and keep my legs crossed. Fact. If I were forced to confess, my biggest secrets in life would be that I enjoyed exploring my sexual fantasies with the best man, strangers, and even paying customers. Now that I'm sitting here holding the pieces of a broken marital dream because of it, all I can really say is, oops, I fucked up really bad. 1. An unseen enemy. The intense summer heat caused my sticky skin to glisten with sweat, despite it being nearly 7 o'clock in the evening. As I walked nude around my fiancé's 3-bedroom brick rancher, I mustered the strength to raise every window and turned all the fans on high. I began thinking about how my once beautiful life was beginning to tarnish and lose its luster. I wanted a vacation. I crawled back into his bed for a much-needed nap, but feeling restless, I had no choice but to acknowledge that I really had nothing on my mind but fucking. After I did, I ended up lying on my back, closing my eyes and slowly stroking my clitoris to relieve some pent-up frustration and physical tension. I slid my middle finger into my slit as my mind scrolled through the hundreds of photos I'd viewed of fine men on the internet. Masturbation had become the only way I could escape into my fantasy world, where I felt no rejection or even a mere inkling of sexual frustration. Although I had a special man in my life, losing control discreetly and alone was the only way I could try and stop the throbbing of my tight, hot, and hungry pussy. Trey and I had been seeing each other less, and I'd been observing that he was supposedly at work more than he was with me. He stopped telling me that he loved me and would never leave me the way he did when our relationship was new and exciting. We stopped laughing together, slow dancing, flirting, going out on dates. I mean, all of the good shit to keep me confident that he was feeling me just dried up and blew away. I may as well have been invisible as far as he was concerned. In fact, the last time I spoke with him and asked where he'd been all day, he crankily responded that I don't report my whereabouts to him blow by blow, so why should I expect him to do the same? One Monday night, after arguing on his cell phone for 2 hours, I stopped craving his touch. Stopped thinking about our upcoming 7-day honeymoon in Jamaica, and gradually released the comforting thought of him holding me as we lay under the moonlight. Out of sheer spite, I ate up both pieces of grilled salmon, polished off almost half the bottle of Chardonnay, and took care of a healthy bowl of salad while sitting at my circular kitchen table, alone. Afterward, I felt sick as a dog. It was then I realized Leslie Thompson was sick of the rigid computer programmer. Somehow, the love I had for my man was hardly enough to keep me satisfied. Hell, as far as I knew, maybe my man was getting it on with another chick. Or these days, even another brother. I wasn't sure if insecurities from childhood were creeping into my psyche, or if I was dealing with cold, hard facts. Either way, whether Trey realized it or not, our bond was blown to a billion smithereens because all traces of trust had vanished. Hell, I didn't know the truth regarding why he wasn't around. This thing between he and I was so twisted, I wasn't sure I had the mental energy to straighten it out. even in light of deposits having been made and the wedding planner having done her part to make our big day run as smoothly as possible. Although I was tired of powering my cell phone on and off late at night, waiting to see if Trey would show up to hold me in his arms, or come hit it like most normal men, I knew that he would be an excellent provider and take good care of the kids that we discussed having down the road. The thing is, a new game chose me after someone very close to the situation reminded me I could make up for the attention I wasn't getting at home by lying and cheating. In lieu of me not desiring a bridal shower, my best friend and maid of honor, Tanya, opted to take me out for a day at the spa. The plan was to get manicures, massages, and just kick it about the old days. After the spa, we ended up eating at the Stonefish Grill at the Capitol Center Boulevard in Largo. We had a great time eating and discussing the dirt men do, all on her dime. I opened the present Tanya gave me. It was a picture of me and her in the 2nd grade, enclosed in a beautiful gold-colored frame. After we shed a few tears, I opened a card that included a notice for a free subscription to Essence magazine. We devoured our seafood, settling into the ambiance of the chic modern place. I found out she was also having man problems with someone who just so happened to be my man's best friend, Rico. There's something I want to talk to you about, but I don't want to spoil our day. Whatever, Tanya, lay it on me. I answered Rico's phone, and a woman seemed rather surprised to hear the sound of my voice. Tanya explained. So, what's the big deal? It's his phone. Why'd you answer it? You don't pay his telephone bill. A man is going to talk to whomever he wants. A, I'm his woman. B, this hussy had that I thought he was single kind of tone going on. And C, I thought it was him calling me since I picked up his keys while he was at work. He told me to let myself in. I had no idea that I'd find out Rico was kicking it with his secretary. She and I talked a while, and she was sure to tell me that they had 2 tickets to see Raheem Devon. Then she had the nerve to ask me to hang up so she could call back and leave him a private message. I did, and just let the phone ring so that I cut Tanya off. Don't let me find out that you've got rocks for brains, girl, come on. I shook my head with disapproval. Excuse me, but you can't be nice to the competition. Kicking it was a different story. What's wrong with you? You should have let her have it where it hurts. Everyone knows you and Rico are dating. How in the world did you manage to let her walk over you like that? But it wasn't her fault. And she said they weren't sleeping together. There's something about Rico that's mesmerizing. He just pulls me in, and I can't seem to let go. I can't explain it because I've never experienced this feeling before, Tanya insisted. How many ways can I tell you to adopt a zero-tolerance cheating policy? You fuck up, you're fired. That's how it should be. If Rico hasn't dipped his wick in her yet, he will. He's no more magnetic than any other sucker out here with cheap lines, a decent job, a few good brain cells, and a mission to weave a tangled web to catch as many women off guard as possible. Don't let that man brainwash you. It's just a matter of time before you find out that he's a pure dud who has no more appeal than the rest of them. You think so? I know so. I'm tired of listening to this bullshit, Tanya. This shouldn't be a difficult decision for anyone. This isn't Rico's first time cheating on you. Maybe I should have kept a log and listed all of the times you woke my ass up, wondering if he was at home or in someone else's. No, you haven't proven anything yet. But what in the hell are you waiting for? In-person proof that you're nothing more than an onlooker in the hoochie parade? You're celibate, Rico is man who likes to fuck, and you have no ring. Do you really think he's going to be faithful under those circumstances? Or do you think he's going to keep playing these games? I don't know what to think anymore. I just don't. I'm just trying to do the right thing. Trey's hands stay on me like an octopus, but he knows that I'm not giving him some ass till we get married. I lied. It's not easy holding out on these Negroes when women are out here shaking their tail feathers in clubs and handing it over on the first night after a man pays for a cheesy $15 entree. Somehow, I managed to remind him he's not missing out, because I'm worth the wait. I constantly remind him that these trifling hoochies who drop their drawers on demand will only be a convenience to him, and those types have nothing lasting to offer. What should I do? The last one picked his nose at the dinner table and went on about his swollen prostate. The one before that acted as if paying for a lunch date would ruin his savings account. The choice index is very slim out here. Stop tripping. Forget Rico's peanut head self. Crack down, be tough, and date someone else. Think ahead. He's a waste of your time, despite the slim pickings. Rico is what I call a professional bachelor. He's never gonna get married. He's set in his ways. And he may not even be trainable to do right by any woman, let alone my girl. You're right. I've been acting like he was interested in having a wife and kids. Rico isn't going to rig up a trailer hitch and pull it through weeds just so I can go camping. What was I thinking? Tanya chuckled and shook her head. The blind sees. Thank you, Jesus, she's healed. Buku improvement. Break up with him so you can find your place in time. After you do, the membership drive of Tanya's fan club will be on. If it's the last thing I do, we're going to find you someone worth keeping. But first, I'm going to teach you how to grow a backbone so you can train a man to respect you. You're a beautiful, strong woman, so be encouraged. It's not you. It's him. Thanks, Leslie. I'm glad I have you. You're my best friend in this world, Tanya told me, smiling. Well, prove that you want peace of mind by getting rid of the dead weight in your life. I found a good man, and so can you, girl. Keep your standards high. Do what's best for you by hooking up with a man who appreciates you, Miss Tanya. Now get going before you start tripping again, I told her, patting the top of her left hand. But what about our girls' day out? This was supposed to be all about you, not me. Everything was nice, Tanya. Besides, I can head over to my man's house. I assure you that a sister can take care of herself. Just to pretend that everything was kosher, I dangled Trey's key and grinned. I was showing off like I had Trey on lockdown by having it. My girl knew we didn't live together, yet I had a key. As Tanya walked away to handle the business in her private life, I began to rewind the situation in my head. Tanya and Rico hooked up after meeting at a cookout Trey threw early in the summer, a few months after her divorce. Like the hypocrite I was, I'd just advised her to cut the cord on Rico while pretending it was all gravy in my world. I wanted to portray the image of a secure woman in love. But in actuality, it was a 50-50 shot that Trey would be thrilled when my face met his. Sometimes people give advice they don't follow themselves. You know how that goes.